mastermind with fitness trainer and coach Katie. And yes, that's my one of my fitness trainer coach Katie Wyckoff here.
Hey,
Oh
Kim,
boy,
can you hear me?
yes I can.
Sweet. I don't know what that was, but I'm glad it works now.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a little funky. Hello, Letitia. How you doing? So hey, today I was telling you at the gym when I saw you a little bit there. Um, First, I'm gonna keep reminding you until you finally get it. Stop giving away your time.
Thank you. I have a
You're
yogi's
so.
mentality. I just want to just donate and everything just free charity. Take it. Nothing is mine to begin
Well,
with, but
I get that, and
I
it's
know.
funny because I was on here earlier and I just did a talk called Dream Action Yoga Exposing the Conditioned Personality. And
Mm.
yeah, and I'm very clear and very open and transparent, as people would say, about the fact that I say Dream Action Yoga, but I'm very clear every time that I say that it's my brand, right? Because the word brand is used often in marketing, right? It's
Hmm.
like your brand this, brand that, right? So I very clearly say that because it's my personal practice, and maybe we'll talk about that later because it's fun.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, sure. Sounds great. Yeah.
but yeah, early when I saw you at the gym, hey, Wandering Fool, long time, how you doing? Um, and by the way, so Katie, if you ever want to see, if you look at the screen right above my icon here, above my avatar, or what is that profile picture, you'll see it says live, and then you'll see like a little number,
Oh, yeah.
a little symbol that has a number next to it. Then that shows the people who are popping in and out of the room, and so then you can touch that and you'll see who's there. That's who I'm saying hello to when you hear me
Hi,
saying
Letitia. Hi, Wandering Soul.
it. Yeah.
Love that.
So yeah, so when I saw you at the gym earlier, and I was saying that I realized my because I did my kickboxing session without you today, and I realized what my energy problem was.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes, as long as I've been doing this, I get the silliest ideas in my head sometimes. Like, why would I just stop eating carbs? Like, you know, it's so ridiculous. That doesn't work. I mean, it might
Why
work in
did
the
you stop
short
eating
term.
carbs?
Um, because I'm, because I, I'm like a little girl. I think I'm
Oh, now that '90s mentality. Oh,
fat.
of like no carbs equals get
Yeah,
skinny. I tell people this every single day. You need carbs.
yeah, I know. The thing is too is that probably over a year ago, the last time when I was working at that gym,
Hmm.
and I was doing my kickboxing, and I decided, oh, I did the same thing, and I noticed that it felt like I was about to have an asthma attack. Like, it just, the thing that came to my mind was, it's like my body was telling me, it was like, your red blood cells can't hold oxygen, you're dying. It's like, eat some sugar of some kind.
Your
And
muscles are probably like, save me, because all that energy you don't have carbs. The next thing it goes for is you go for is your muscles for your energy source.
yeah, that's so crazy. And I definitely don't want that,
Mm.
because I I don't know, why would I even think that. The funny thing too is that when I got back to the country from China, and I was uh, getting back in my 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 higher fitness level from then, the thing that
Hmm.
to got me back in tip top form was simply by building muscle and eating. You know, I was
Hmm.
I was doing a lot of stuff, but I was eating a lot, and a big part of that was eating carbs. Um,
Hmm.
but good carbs. Like, I don't eat a lot of processed stuff. So
Yep. That's good. Yeah,
So
that's
I don't
real
know why
good.
I was thinking.
It's
Yeah,
funny
I don't
too
know why
because
I
the
was
more
thinking I need to cut
muscle.
them out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, the more muscle you're able to have in your body at a baseline level, the more calories that you'll be burning for your basal metabolic rate will raise up, and you'll be able to even if you don't do anything for that day, you'll still have a higher like you'll just burn more energy because your muscles take more energy and more to run and stay hot than necessarily body fat.
Yes. And also, I was I was kind of thinking too, and I don't know. Again, sometimes in my head, I just did the silliest thing. So I increased my protein intake, but then I
Mm-hmm.
cut out the carbs. And I'm thinking I'm going to do that and I'll be fine. But of course, I realized again that just doing that, I'm still feeling like I'm getting worn down really quickly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and and I know that don't doesn't protein have what is it called? It has a higher um, gosh, I know you just mentioned
I'm
basal
not sure
metabolic rate,
exactly.
BMR.
I'm not sure exactly what, but I do know, or if I can pick up maybe in a different way that what you're bringing to light, the more protein you have, it takes so much more work for your body to break down and digest those. So you're more likely, for instance, to have constipation or for it to be harder for you if you're not maintaining a sufficient amount of carbs, especially water soluble fiber, which can be found in all sorts of good carbs. Uh,
You know,
that's what helps keep
fortunately,
your
I'm not plugged
digestive
up.
system. Pardon?
So fortunately, I didn't get plugged up.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Some people will, like, when they first get into the gym, like, it's almost like they'll, like, be adverse to to taking such high levels of protein or protein shakes because they cut all carbs out and then they start just pounding protein. And then now, like, they're feeling, like, gassy or it's, like, really hard for them to digest these dense molecules that they're putting, or these dense, like, enzymes that they're putting down into their stomachs. And a lot of times, too, because it's not just about what you eat, it's about like what combinations that you eat, because when you eat different things together, your stomach releases certain enzymes to break down and digest whatever you're putting in it, and depending on what you're putting in it, you can either be producing excess mucus and feeling really worn down, or you can be kind of creating like the perfect fire pit. Well, it's a burning energy and it's releasing off so much that you can just pull from and use in your day, like, in your everyday going about in your energy and such, versus like feeling like, oh man, like I feel so tired and sluggish after that meal. Our meals aren't supposed to weigh us down. They're supposed to fuel us for our next task that we're coming up with.
Exactly. I forgot that. So there is a term for that I was looking for, and I don't know why it was right in the tip of my mind. But the fact that protein has it takes more energy to break it down than the other
Mm-hmm.
macronutrients, than fat and
Mm-hmm.
carbs, right? Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it so by eating more protein, you definitely take more energy to do it. So it takes more calories and more energy in your body to break it down, but I still need those extra carbs. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people think I'm crazy because I actually have been eating a dozen eggs scrambled at a time with mushrooms, onions, and peppers.
Mm. That's a lot of eggs.
Yeah, but when I did that before,
Mm-hmm.
my body was, but I was also eating a.
I'm sorry, the volume just cut out. What did you say, Hakeem?
Oh,
You're cutting out what?
oh, oh no. Is how's my sound? Am I better there?
Yep, there we go.
Okay, yeah, I was messing around with my device. No, I was saying that that before when I was eating, that's how I would wake up in the morning. I would scramble a dozen eggs, but I would cook it with brown rice and put like green
Mm.
peppers and onions and
Mm.
garlic, and I would scramble them with olive no, not olive oil, coconut oil.
Mm.
And but the fact that I was eating the brown rice, and then after that, after I finished eating, and it was like So can you imagine? I was waking up in the morning eating a dozen eggs with 2 cups of brown rice,
Wow.
um, with, like I said, onions, garlic, and some green. I used to get all of the colors, the red, yellow, and green bell peppers,
Uh,
and then I would eat that. And then after that, I would eat a banana or two. And I had so
mhm.
much energy, and I was crazy ripped. I wasn't even trying to be, I've never tried to be a bodybuilder, but I looked insane. My body looked like it was pretty spectacular. But
Mhm.
just from doing that. So I do know I have, it's so crazy how I have the experience of knowing that I need to have more carbs and to balance out the fact that I'm doing all that crazy stuff. But um, so did you notice a difference from the first time that you were coaching me to the second time, right?
Oh yeah, totally. I think I had mentioned something to you in the first or second round too. Because I knew you said that you were tired, but it was interesting because I noticed that like your feet, like you was almost like sluggish and like, because I could see you're still thinking, but like yeah, when you're either ducking and dodging and bobbing and weaving, or even in your hits and such like that, like your, for example, because I would count how many punches you would do and how many like hits or how many kicks that you would do, and I noticed that you were lulling like the second time, the when you were saying that you didn't have those car or we weren't didn't have that food in your system. You were probably like before you started kicking, you were probably hitting the bag between. There were some that you weren't making 10, you were going to 8, and then there were some other times where you would go just past 10, and then you start doing a few kicks. Whereas in the first time, you were exceeding like most oftentimes you always exceeded 10, but then you were also exceeding 20 for a good bit of the each round, 20 kick or excuse me 20 punches, and then you would start your rounds of kicks. So I definitely noticed a big difference, and even like the duration before you would then start to have your cool off of how many times you would hit the bag definitely decreased without the food in your system versus when you had the food in your system.
That is so crazy, right? Now that you say that, I can think about it too. It's almost like my brain knew. It's like it just thought, yeah, you better keep it, be conservative, because you're right.
Mhm.
The first time I was doing at least 20 punches, and
Mhm.
between 4 to 6 kicks, and like constant, and with a lot of power and speed.
Yep.
And then this last time, I was just barely hitting 10 10
Mhm.
punches, and
Same thing. I feel like
and
your accuracy with your kicks, like you were like your blows were landing a lot harder and more accurately to the bag the first round versus because you would still be doing, of course, like I forget, excuse me for not knowing the exact name, but when you're moving, you're spinning and you're on your hands, but the accuracy of how on target to the bag that you were was also slightly off.
yeah, I know.
I mean, don't get me
And I
wrong.
was
You're still exceeding at like, trust me. You're not to put that. You're still exceeding it, and it's the fact to think that you're doing this on an empty stomach is like amazing. That the level of intensity that you go at. I just know, for at least from my experience, just from seeing you train and seeing the videos of you fighting, I know that the intensity that you go at is not an average intensity in a sense.
it's just been a long time. But this is a little lesson here, though, right? That
Mhm.
when people are, so would you agree with this? That it's not the best thing to do what I did because I'm I got anxious. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm thinking I don't like what I'm seeing. I need to cut out these carbs, but it doesn't work when I'm doing that high level of exercise. And I'm
Mhm.
jumping. Sometimes I'm upside down, almost doing like backflips and spinning through the air. And
Mhm.
I'm going for 5 5-minute rounds with just 1 minute in between. And so if somebody's, especially, I think, does this apply both? I just want to know if you agree with this. Would this apply both for, so I'm an athlete that is doing a high intensity level of exercise, so it's not a good idea for me to cut my carbs out. But would that also be true for somebody who's starting to do exercise? Maybe they haven't ever been walking before, now they're walking for 30 minutes. or they're jogging or they're going to the gym, they also shouldn't cut back a lot of carbs because they're also not going to feel good either. Do you think it works similarly?
Um, it does and it does. It really actually, so when you break down carbs in your body, it also depends on how much body fat percentage you have. Because when you have an exceedingly high amount of body fat, whether or not you're a beginner or you're advanced in the gym, if you have an exceedingly high number of body fat versus like someone with a lower amount of body fat, your body's gonna prioritize different macronutrients. So there's actually been studies showing, like, if you have a higher percent of body fat, yes, you want to have carbs, but you want to increase the level of healthy fats because your metabolism's now changed. And since you, for however long, have been put in a certain amount, most likely a high fat content and a low protein, low carb diet into your system, now your cells, when you go to exercise, in a sense, and when you go to pull that energy for your exercise, sometimes it's not always going to come from carbs. It'll come from your fats if you've exceeded a certain threshold of body fat. And so, excuse me, because it's escaping my brain right now, the what the percentage is, because it's going to vary for men and for women. But it's actually recommended to eat of course healthy. You don't want to cut out processed foods. Don't just be eating junk food. But yeah, you definitely want to in turn eat a little bit more fats. But be mindful in regards to, in a sense, making sure you're still prioritizing protein. Carbs are still important, but instead of, like, for instance, like a 40% carb, 30% protein and 30% fat, breaking it down to 35% carbs, 35% fat, and then what's it called? And then 30%, or excuse me, 40, 30, and then I'm sorry, excuse me. So 35, because you want to increase your fat. So increase your fat, and then the two remaining variables, what's it called? Oh,
The
what's it
two
called?
macronutrients. So wait a minute. Are
Yeah.
you talking about increase my fat percentage to what, 35%?
Yeah, that
Or the
is if
carbs?
you are your fat percentage. So you're going to
Okay.
decrease your carb percentage by 5% and increase your fat percentage by 5%.
Okay, so
If,
then
for
if
instance,
we do that, we're at if it was 30 30 30, what are we taking the carbs to? 25%, and then
carbs
the
are 40.
fat.
So it's
Okay.
35 35. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It's been a long
Okay.
day.
That's
35%
all good.
carbs, 35%
Yeah.
fat, and 30% protein. That's if you have a high body fat percentage. If you for instance, like for if you're a woman, for instance, and you're leveling about 35% body fat, for just for example, because I know that's still within the safe range, you want to prioritize more carbs and fat. Drop your fat down to 30% fat and 40% carbs. Is a general standard for just general physical health, and then eating with and making sure you're still eating a sufficient amount of protein to maintain and build lean body mass while burning body fat during exercise. It's also too about when you prioritize, when you're eating your carbs, when you're eating your protein, and then fats kind of come along with that. Because a lot of times people eat protein, for example, before their exercise, but then
Yeah.
they won't have a sufficient amount of carbs in their system, and so your body's not going to have a reliant energy source to pull from when you're exercising. So it's always good to eat your bulk of your carbs prior to exercise, or at least some form of a carb prior to exercise, so that way you're not breaking down muscle. Because yes, you ate
Yeah.
something, but what did it contain? Was it full of protein? Was it full of fat? Because that's not going to give you the energy that you need to do physical exercise.
Yeah, because I was all talking a big game. I was saying to you, I said, yeah, wait till next week. You're gonna see my performance. It's gonna be, and then it just tanked. It went the other way, because of, I mean, and you know what I think now too, because I don't think that I
Mhm.
really underslept as much as I thought, even though I went to sleep later and woke up earlier, because as I was telling you, I went to go have
Mhm.
lunch with my friend Dylan, so I got up a little bit earlier. But I still think I got 6 to 7 hours of sleep, so I wasn't really missing that much. And I think it
Mhm.
really had to do with the fact that I didn't eat and that I was also had been over the the days leading up to that was cutting out my carbs more. So I'll make sure I address that because I know that I'm not gonna see you until Tuesday the 13th is when we're gonna have
Hmm.
another session because you're going out of town for a little bit. So
I'm definitely
yeah,
curious
so
to see too if you're fully fueled up, the difference in the ratio of how many times you're hitting the bag between punches and then until you go to kicks. If it's going to be in the in the 20s like it was the first session, or if it was for punches and then going to kicks after about 20 or so, or if you're going to be like in our last session when you didn't have the carbs, eating 8 or having about like 8 to 15 ish punches on average and then going into your kicks.
no, I'm definitely gonna stay on the carbs. I like having energy. I like being able to
Hmm.
go, and I just realized that I just can't do that. My, it's always been that way for me. If I don't eat enough carbs, not only do I feel physically sluggish, but I get depressed and I start thinking but I can't concentrate. I start thinking all kinds of crazy stuff. It's like I'm
It's
slowly going
interesting.
crazy. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that because you're actually starving your brain when you don't eat carbs because your neurons, the primary nutrient source that your neurons pull from is carbohydrates.
Yeah, see, there's this whole
Yeah.
different world between knowing something and doing it. There's these things I
Yes.
know, and I'm still just like, I'll just cut them out, but I
Oh,
can't
I'm the same
apparently.
exact way. I train people all the time, but there's so many times where, and I try my best to live the teachings that I know, but then when you have so many different things, and it's very easy, like as for I'm sure any human being, to sometimes get lost and you're getting pulled in so many directions, so you're forgetting the main thing. And I really appreciate when I was listening to your talk that you sent me that you did about I think 2 days ago with the
Was it the warfare one, the emotional warfare? That oh, somehow did we lose Katie? It seems like Katie has been lost to the void. Cut out all of a sudden. We don't hear you over here, Katie. But yeah, um, oh, there you go. I hear you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. You're back.
But yeah, how you're speaking about simple and like living or and doing simple things. A lot of times people try to cut out, and they do the most. And it's so funny because I was having a conversation with my a few of my fellow trainers the other day about how it's so easy. People will do the most to try to get to their goal, and they'll try to take every little shortcut, which in all of those shortcuts they're really going the long way about, rather than keeping it simple. It's not easy to make things or to be simple, but when you're living simple, your thinking is high, like everything is just functioning at a higher rate, because I feel like that's just
Yeah,
essentially like you're not losing the point anymore.
yeah. It doesn't get buried in all the superfluous complications, all these different things. It's a
Hmm.
good. Yeah, I need to keep it simple. So, all right. So we're almost at the halfway mark here, and I'm gonna reset my brain and reset the room, so to speak, and then we'll get back on this because there's some things I want to ask you about, and then also, so I do want to talk about, but yeah, so we're already established. I need to, keep my carb level up. I mean, I think I'm doing other things okay, but oh, I want to ask you a question. Where the heck did you take? What is this profile picture you're using? Where is that? What is that? What
Oh,
locker
that's
room
at
is
One
that
Life.
in?
I I know it was so
Is
funny.
that the
I very
that's what the women's
pardon.
locker room looks like?
Yeah, it's literally a locker room. I noticed when I got on here, I said, "Oh wow, I'm gonna about to have this conversation with Akeem." And for any, because I don't know, I really appreciate with my yoga teachers when they get on Zoom or on conference with people. Everyone likes to, like see each other and such like that, make it a little bit more personal. And so when I was logging on to get onto our conversation today, I realized, I said, "Oh my gosh, no one's gonna be able." I never take pictures of myself, so I had to scramble and find like an old picture of myself, so that way someone, or like at least, have a face to the, yeah, to the voice.
Speech of the voice. Well,
Yeah.
it looks like you. I mean, I could tell everybody. I just saw her today, so it's not. The pictures can't be that old. I mean, how long you been in that one life?
Well, I've been trained. So this is at the Newport News One Life. I've been training at One Life since
Oh,
January. And then I've been training. I've been a fitness trainer for several years. But I only just recently got to this gym. What's
Okay.
it called? I took, yeah. So yeah, the picture. I'm not sure
Well,
how old the picture is. Yeah, maybe yeah, no, maybe a few months, maybe.
now, just so everybody knows, so that's where I met Miss Katie Wyckoff, was at Onelife Fitness. It's in Virginia Beach on General Booth Boulevard. So if some of you were listening to the talk I did yesterday, I forgot what it was called, but I did mention if you're in town, you should go visit her if you need some fitness training. And um, I think I might have met you like the second week after I signed up for a membership. I signed up with the manager Juan,
Mhm.
and I think it was the second week because you were talking to another guy that I knew there when I was a
Mhm.
trainer there, and
Yeah, Josh and Dom.
yeah. So what's really interesting too, a lot of people don't get this, but I think I mentioned this to you that the reason why I signed up to train with you, it because not, you didn't do anything like exactly as I was doing, but it reminded me of my non-aggressive style of, and I'm not saying that this is why you were nice to me either, but my non-aggressive style of recruiting clients
Really?
was I I wouldn't I wouldn't go up to them on the machines and be like, hey, you're doing that wrong, buddy, or whatever it is that people would tell you to do, or go around and like start talking to people. I was just nice to everybody, and I first started there because I didn't have my certifications. When I first started, I was working at the front
Mhm.
desk,
Oh, okay.
so so I was front desk staff checking people in for from September until, yeah, I really cooked. I started working there on September 11th, so 1 week after I got back to the United States. I got back to the United States on September 4th of 2021, and then started working at the front desk September 11th of 2021. And then by November, I had received my group fitness certification, and then within
Okay.
like a week or two after that, I got the personal trainer certification, and then
Okay.
I on my first day that I got into the system, I signed up my first 5 clients right away because they
Oh.
were people that had gotten to know me from the front desk because I was nice to them. So,
Oh.
and so that's why I signed up with you. I think I told you that because the
Mhm.
first time I met you, I was just saying hi to Josh and Dom, and then you said hello to me and introduced yourself. And then the very next day, I looked into the Fit 360 room, and I don't know what I was doing, but then you were on the other side. And you said, "Hey, hi," and you said hello to me. And I think you even came over to say hello. And I said, "You know what? This is I want to work with this person." uh,
Oh.
because because
Oh.
you were just really open and generous and nice. I mean, I know some of the other trainers like Dylan and Andrew and a few of the. Of course, I know the new fitness director, um,
Yeah, Carnell.
Nick Carnell, who's really cool. Um, but yeah, and then as we got to talking more, now I know that you're a yogi. You're even going to India again. So um, just the way that you speak and how you're so uh, grateful for so many things. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure I picked the right trainer.
No, well, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate all the kind words. I always just try to stay as humble as possible. And I look at when I go into the gym, I don't look at it as like, yes, it's a place to work on myself, but it's also a community too. And I really feel like I love seeing like people lift other people up, either in regards to confidence or like showing them like, or if like someone's like, feeling, not feeling like comfortable and confident, like, yeah, giving them that ability to have their own space and feel grounded and be able to excel and work on themselves. I feel like that's one thing that everyone deserves, is to be able a space to work on themselves, but then also to like a community to, because it's so easy to get lost in your own funk. And when you have like just high quality environments around you and high quality people, like that inspiration that draws either from what they're doing or being able to bounce off like your own like thoughts and such like that, it's such a valuable place of growth.
Yes, it is. Um, I was talking to another member that I know there, and he was saying the same thing. He said, "First, it's good to see you again." And I said, "Yeah, I came back here because I really like the facility. It's really clean. And I was just mentioning like the amenities, that it was clean and it's big and well lit and got all this equipment. And he's like, yeah, but but the staff and everybody here is really nice. And I said, you know what, you're right. That is true too. Because
That's one thing.
I
I've
still,
worked at different gyms,
yeah,
and yeah, I definitely noticed that this one particularly, like, I don't know, it's like everyone knows everyone, and everyone's like, and if they don't, they're like, if they see you a couple times, they're like, "Hey, what's up? Like, how you doing? What's your name?" Like, it's like a really cool like environment that I don't see often in what's it called, gyms, or I do see it in gyms, but like not at the level that I've noticed be established here.
yeah, it is a good environment, and everybody there, like the general manager Liz, when she first saw me again, she came over,
Hmm.
gave me a hug, and the first person I saw when I walked in there again was Juan, and he signed me up for my membership, and then Andrew's still there, and there's a lot of familiar faces, and it's really nice. And
Hmm.
I didn't even know that my nephew was training there. Both of my nephews were training there, and
I
that
can't
and it's
believe
just
I
as
work with them.
yeah, it's a
Like,
coincidence that you're also their
it's
coach for
yeah,
their
a little bit.
kickboxing.
Uh-huh. And that's been so much like, oh my gosh, seeing the youth, like it's been super inspiring, like seeing them grow in discipline, concentration, understanding of their body and how their bodies move, doing like their strength and conditioning preseason training essentially. Yeah, it's been such a interesting and wonderful dynamic to get into their brains, but then also to like show them like, the safe and right way to get stronger and be the best in their sport that they can be.
Yeah, and I think I heard you the other day saying you're gonna miss them. Like, is it their last week coming up, or they already finished their last session there, or something like that?
Yes, this was their last. Yes, I didn't know. I thought today I was gonna get them for one final time, and I'm very grateful that I got to say goodbye to, or like at least say hello to them, a lot of them yesterday. Cause I didn't know yesterday was their last day of camp. I knew that this was their last week of camp. Cause we've been working together for 6 weeks, but apparently yesterday was the last day. So on Saturday it's gonna be awesome. I forget the name of the park. It's gonna but we're gonna be meeting at like a park down the road from the gym and having essentially like a big like cookout flag football team or flag football game and just kind of like have a little like have fun kind of send off before they start their season.
Nice.
Hmm.
Well, that is pretty awesome. Oh, so I wanna I wanna reset again and take a look at something else I noticed also. So I realized that I can get another a really simplified way of doing, because I like doing compound exercises.
Hmm.
I'm not an isolation person, you know.
Hmm.
And I talked about this before too, that a lot of people have the sort of like bodybuilders, right? Today I'm doing back and bis, then chest and tris, then legs, and then abs, right? So I don't
Hmm.
I don't do that. To me, it's all compound movements in one workout. And I also noticed the my energy level completely dropping down when I started the new workout with the sled, right?
Oh
And
yeah, yesterday.
yeah, so but I found a really great way to do a compound workout with that, where when I'm pushing the sled, of course, there's resistance from that AstroTurf, and I have my hands on those bars there, and as I'm pushing, I slowly uh, allow my arms to be pushed down as if it was like a chest press, right? And
Hmm.
then I push it. I give a lot of power, like I give a sudden push forward. So I'm working my arms, my
Hmm.
chest, my shoulders as I push it, and then as I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count five. The reason why I do an odd number is because it switches which leg is going to push forward as my arms are pushing forward. So it alternates me from left
Smart,
to right leg, and I'm pushing off of one. So I count
smart.
five as I'm pushing forward, so that, and as the sled comes closer towards my body, and then I do something similar when I'm pulling. So now then I grab the straps and I start walking backwards, and then as I'm counting five, I pull it in down to my sides. You ever seen how in specifically like karate, the karate martial arts, how they do this like
Hmm.
stance where they get into a squat and they bring their fists to the side by their hips, with their
Mhm.
palms facing up, but so I pull myself into that position with my back upright and my shoulder blades squeezed together. So as I'm pulling my biceps and also my back. Sometimes if I stand up straighter, I notice it targets up on my traps. But
Yep.
so I found a way to target different parts of my body that way. But also, I'm only able to do one push and one pull before I have to stop, and I was like completely out of breath. And I'm thinking that wasn't like this last week again. So I'm noticing, the big takeaway here is I have not been fueling myself properly for the
Mhm.
workouts.
And it definitely too, give yourself a few days of feeling yourself for your body to go back to its normal functioning levels. Also, by the way, the sled push with the chest press and the drags, they looked yesterday when you were doing them. I was like, oh, I've got to try that for myself because it does like it looked really intense and really good. But yeah, definitely it takes a few days for your body because when you lack having a balanced nutrition level in your body, then your body's gonna start prioritizing and pulling nutrients from these different undesired places and storing body fat also in undesired places because that has your highest density of nutrients. There's body fat, so your body's gonna want to hold on to it as much as possible. Even though our brains don't like it, our bodies love it and just want to hold on to it because it's almost like a hibernation mode, like a bear going into hibernation and storing
Ah,
up to. Yeah, it's the same kind of concept. Our bodies like act similarly when we starve it of certain things, and then that's why a lot of times too people be starving themselves, and they're like, why am I not losing any weight, or I'm losing weight but boom, I just gained it back so fast. It's because our bodies are
yeah.
sneaky. Our bodies love to hold on to nutrients, and so yeah, it can take a couple days of proper eating for your energy levels to become restored, just because now your body has to start not knowing and feeling safe in, okay, this I am gonna have recurrent nutrients coming. So then, okay, cool. Then we can allow ourselves to have energy for this, or we can allow our body to break down and store this food as in muscle instead of in body fat, things like that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely notice in the next few days how it changes, and then hopefully by next week you'll be back to full functioning.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of I'm a little bummed but you got to leave. You have your stuff that you need to take care of, so I
Oh,
can't
trust
be
me,
so
I would rather be at the gym too.
I can't be so
I would definitely.
selfish and think that you got to
Oh,
take care of
I have
yourself.
no intentions of not being at the gym until I leave for October in India, and I highly encourage. Please, if you want to come, please join. It's an amazing group that's coming. You'll also be doing. There'll be lots of exercising, lots of yoga while we're there, but primarily we'll be,
Well,
going to
send
different.
me send me the link to the website you were talking about because October is good enough time for me to prepare myself mentally and financially in every way, and that would be awesome to get back over into Asia. I lived there for 5 years and I traveled everywhere when I was there. So, and I'm itching for uh, I need to go overseas. It's just I'm now addicted. I have wanderlust, and that would be cool to do that for a yoga. So what is it? It's not a yoga retreat. What is this
No,
actually?
it's not a yoga retreat. It's a pilgrimage. So we will be essentially acting as pilgrim. Thank goodness though. We what's it called? We'll have buses and such. We won't necessarily do the traditional pilgrimage, which hopefully one day I can do, where you're carrying all of your things and walking barefoot for many miles to many different holy places. That's a dream of mine one day. But yeah, we'll be going uh to starting in Delhi, and then we'll go to different, not necessarily like big touristy attractions. Like we're not going to Taj Mahal or anything like that. Far from it. We're going to be going to the most sweetest, most amazing. Like I kid you not, there is nothing like the people in India, the kindness, the little that they have, the highness of like their simple living is so high. It is just contagious, and like they also too like the physical endurance, like because you're the heat, like it's only going to be over 100 degrees. Men can have a little bit less clothing on, but like for me, I'm going to be dressed covered from my head to my toes essentially. Um, and it's we'll be going to tiny little temples all around. We'll be going. there will be a not necessarily a hike, but there's a story about Govardhan Hill in Hindu and Bhakti Leela or Vedic literature. That's a very prolific place, so you're going to be going there, and you'll have the option if you want to walk that full 25 kilometers. We'll be doing that barefoot, or if not, you can always opt out. But yeah, just going to many different temples, learning about local Vedic lore, but then also too just taking a deep dive into the Vedas and understanding, like, we're not our bodies, we're not our minds, we're something divine, and we're all trying to figure it out. And how can we come together and support each other as we do that?
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing. I definitely need to get on it. So please remember, I'm gonna bug you about it. Send me the link that you were telling me
Also,
about
as
for
soon
that.
as we get off of this, I got you. And I highly encourage anyone else. My yoga teacher, he teaches yoga all around the world. He lived for over 30 years as a monk in India. His name's Raghunath Kapo, and his website is raghunath.yoga. He has yoga teacher trainings, mridanga. If you're wanting to learn classical Indian instruments, he has trainings for that, as well as just pilgrimages that he takes people on. And it's so sweet because it's so the reason why these trips and the trainings are so cheap is because he doesn't keep the money for himself. It's the craziest thing. You essentially are only paying for the places that you'll be staying at. All the food and everything will be covered, so you'll essentially just be paying for all your meals, the travel. There's like flights included in this and everything, and it's so sweet because he lives only based off of donation. He does not take any money for himself. Like, it's the
So
sweetest, most amazing.
how do you how do you spell Raghunath, Katie? Just in case if anybody wants
Um,
to hear it.
yeah. Raghunath is Raghunath. So um, Ragu like ragu, like
Uh,
the tomato stuff.
Pasta sauce. Yeah.
Pasta sauce. Yep.
What? Yeah.
Ragu with an H. So Raghu, and then Nath. Nath. And Nath, just for like a little context, a Nath is if I'm not mistaken, in Hindi is a servant in a sense. So he's a servant
Mm.
of, and I forget what prolific meaning Raghunath meant, but it's a wonderful, like for instance, how I was asking you yesterday, Radhanath. He is the servant of Radha, who is a very,
So
very
he.
prolific in Vedic thought. Yep. Mhm.
I thought you were going to say he serves pasta sauce. No.
Oh. Well, it's funny. He is Italian, so he does like to make that joke. Actually,
Ah, interesting.
yep. Um.
um, now the here's something interesting too. So I just I don't know any of the other trainers who are as dedicated to this practice as you are. It seems like you, well, it doesn't seem like, I just kind of know that you're living, yeah, very close to this yogic type of spirit and lifestyle. Do you teach yoga or have you ever?
It's funny. So, I am certified to teach 5 different modalities of yoga, as well as meditation and pranayama, which I learned and was certified. First, I did like a 300-hour online training, and then I went over to India and spent 2 months, learning a lot of just different, philosophies and practice. So, yes, I do. I do teach yoga right now. With my personal training, I have one one time, like one session that I'll do teaching yoga, but it's more so like a very small group that I'll do. And I was like, I would, and this is where I get kind of the crosshairs, because I would love to teach yoga, and I have even practiced and learned some classical Indian music or Indian instruments like harmonium or kartos, because I feel like when you're practicing yoga, especially when you're in shavasana or you're first starting the class, setting that intention or bringing that mind back to the intention, it's amazing, and it definitely helps radiate. I feel I need to
So hold up.
stick my,
So folks, Shavasana is the corpse pose when you're laying on your back, right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Usually at the end of the yoga session, right?
Yes. And what Shavasana does, physically for your body, because you're raising your cortisol levels, doing yoga itself raises your cortisol levels. It lowers them too, but the purpose for Shavasana and why you feel so calm in Shavasana afterwards is because that starts the synthesis and the metabolism process of the transferring the cortisol into dopamine.
Mm.
Or endorphins in general. But yeah, so Shavasana is very amazing pose to practice at the end. Corpse pose is like almost like they call it like practicing for death or practicing of death in a sense where you're just allowing everything to relax. And that's one thing too. I want you to like please if you're at home, try it. Just lay down and notice your body, but then one by one tell yourself, feet, relax. Notice a difference. Legs, relax. Notice a difference. Your kneecaps, relax. Notice it. And it's interesting how much tension that we hold without even realizing it. And then when we make the conscious effort to tell ourselves, okay, relax, like the purpose of corpse pose, like you might have a yoga teacher in your class kind of guiding you through like body part by body part. Bring attention to that area. Now take the tension out and relax. And it's insane how much more relaxed and how much deeper that you sink into the ground when you're making a mindful effort of relaxation versus, in a sense, okay, just being. Because what is that state that you're always being in? Because most oftentimes you probably will carry that tension or carry whatever you're holding on to unconsciously or subconsciously into things that you do throughout everything that you do in a sense. And it can be so easily, I don't know, what's the word? Like felt and noticed in Shavasana, I feel like.
So, interesting that you mentioned about this practice of saying, feet, toes relax, legs relax, knees relax, and just noticing the difference. First, that reminds me of something I learned around the same time that I first started teaching yoga back in 2004. But I learned about it first in I went to a school for clinical hypnosis, the Hypnosis Motivation Institute, and they called that the
Mhm.
Nancy technique. Have you ever heard that term before?
No, please, if you don't mind, please enlighten me.
Well, no, I mean, it's just
Oh, is it the
basically
same thing?
the Nancy technique. It's also sometimes there's another one we call progressive relaxation. So depending
Mm-hmm.
on the person, we'll either start at their feet and have them start relaxing progressively from their feet to their shins, to their knees, to their thighs, hips,
Mm-hmm.
abs, lower back, and then all the way up to their head. Or depending on what we assess from the person, how comfortable they are, we start from their head and go down. But it's just this progressive wave of relaxation that we guide them through um, for their hypnosis session, which is to help them become more suggestible to me as the clinical hypnotist.
Hmm.
That's it.
Interesting.
Um,
I wonder if, like, subconsciously, through following those commands, you kind of develop almost like a relationship or a rapport. Because when someone has a trustworthy relationship, they're more likely to, like, without tension or without apprehension, ease into whatever you're trying to present to them. Versus if you're someone completely like foreign to them in a sense, and like you
well,
bringing their.
absolutely. No, absolutely. That's actually rapport is very spot on term for that because we also learned this is one of the terms that they use a lot in NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, which is a subset of hypnosis that usually is used uh, by executives and different things like that. But rapport is a big thing, and yes, it also helps the person to trust us more because when they're already going along and agreeing with things, then they tend to go along with the other suggestions that we'll give them later for the
Mm.
main issue that they came in for. So
Hmm.
that's where that comes in. Now,
I love that.
you also
Huh?
mentioned you also mentioned earlier about pranayama. You said you have several different certifications, 5 yoga, and you mentioned pranayama specifically. That's like the one name you said.
Yes,
Um,
pranayama. Oh,
well,
sorry.
that is my specialty.
Really?
Um,
Honestly, that
that's
kind of makes
my
sense.
that's my number one thing is pranayama. Actually, earlier before a couple hours before we started, I actually did a whole talk. I was telling you earlier the name of it, but it was based on pranayama. So I called it Dream Action Yoga, Exposing the
Hmm.
Conditioned Personality. and the main focus was on my practice of pranayama yoga. But I also, when I put it on my other podcast program, I'm going to call it demystifying yoga, because this term, exposing the conditioned personality, that I use for my brand of yoga, Dream Action Yoga, I got from a book called The Heart of Yoga by TKV Desikachar. Have you ever heard of that book
Uh-huh.
or that yogi?
Yes, of course. Or I've definitely heard of him. Yes. Yep. Wow. Wow. I just can't. Wow. It's amazing just who you meet in a sense, because I would have no idea that we would have all these connections through yoga. And so, yes, oh my gosh, that's wow. That's
Yeah, but the
so
main thing,
please.
I'm going to send that to you so you can listen to it later, because I don't know,
Yeah.
you might be, you'll hear it, because I'm actually kind of going against a lot of stuff that's taught in yoga, specifically the commoditization, the commercialization, and the whole guru mindset, and how a lot of people find that there are barriers to entry for them to start practicing yoga because they think it has to be a certain way. So listen to that, and we can
Hmm.
powwow about that later. But I think that you'll
Oh
find
yeah,
it interesting.
definitely.
Yeah.
You're actually spurring up my mind in so many different like Vedic leelas or stories or lore within the Vedas of where like they forget the main thing and people
Wait, wait,
feel
wait. You said a?
or
Did you say a war within or a word within the Vedas?
lore lore like lore
Lore.
like
Oh,
story.
lore. Gotcha,
Hmm.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yes, you're actually bringing because yeah, you're bringing my mind to a lot of different points right now. Because yeah, so the purpose of a guru, like guru, if you break it down, the Sanskrit meaning gu means bringer and ru means light. They're the bringer of light. um there's a prayer in Sanskrit, whereas like you offer your obeisances to your teacher for opening like for opening the your eyes from the or like essentially what's the word? Oh my gosh, because it's so I know it in Sanskrit. And once I say it in Sanskrit, I'll be able to know it in English. But it's essentially like they're removing the darkness of ignorance and bringing the light of knowledge. And your guru, like I also feel like I agree with you in regards to the commoditization or the feeling like the apprehension because and a really great book, Bhagavad Gita by Srila Prabhupada, or not written, but translated by Srila Prabhupada. It was, and it talks about that issue because there's a lot of false teachers out there and there's a lot of gatekeep. But this is the thing: yoga literally means the root word in Sanskrit is yuj, to yoke, and you're yoking soul to source. Almost like if to think of it yoking like where you yoke a carriage to a horse. They're separate entities, but they're together. And yoga is literally connecting soul to source to whatever your Ishvara. Ishvara means that's Sanskrit for in English whatever your connection with divinity is, whether like whatever that belief is, whatever like that Ishvara is different for each and every individual soul because we each and every have an individual role, purpose, relationship, and everyone connects to that on a different on their own very unique level. And so, yeah, yoga, like, I definitely feel like in regards to the commercialization, the westernization, there's so much misleading, like, or how we can bring it back to how we were saying, or how we were talking about earlier in regards to diet or in regards to fancy workouts or all these different things. Like, when you keep it simple and keep the main thing, yoga, connecting soul to source, then all these external, like, oh, look how deeply I can bend. Oh, look how long I can hold my breath. Oh, look how deeply I can do this. Or, oh, look how much I'm flowing in my brain connection. Like, that, you can get lost in all of that because that's not the main thing. The main thing is grounding, is connecting. So, I'm sorry, I don't know how I even got to going on to that,
No,
but yeah,
that's amazing. That's why I was letting you flow, because I'm just sitting here in awe. Like, did you actually listen to my talk earlier? Secretly, you're not telling me about it
well,
because
it's funny. No, I didn't. That's the craziest thing. And it's funny because when I was
because
listening
yeah.
to your podcast, I like so many things that you were saying in your podcast literally the other day. It was just I was driving and listening to it on my way, and it was just blowing my mind. I'm like, these are things that I contemplate, study, and talk about all of the time. So this is just
Well,
great connections here.
yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, I'm not surprised because I told you. before that, I just go by my, people would call it vibes and feelings and whatever it is, my intuition. And,
Hmm.
like I said, of all the people, I mean, I know a bunch of the trainers there. Like I said, I know Dylan, of course, I know Carnell. I mean, I know Andrew. Um, but, just how you just presented yourself, I was just like, yeah, I need, this is a person that's going to keep me accountable. And by the way,
Hmm.
just because you're so nice and awesome, I don't pay you to take it easy on me. You need to turn it up.
I hear you 100%. And I totally, like, when I got the green, and then you actually seriously made me self-reflect of, like, my own training and how I've, like, slowly changed the way that I train in a sense, just because I see so many people with injuries, and a lot of people are more so mentally apprehensive than physically unable to do things just out of fear of
Yeah,
pain. And you certainly, like, reminded myself, I'm like, I love being pushed hard. I love my hardest trainers have given me my best results, my best, like, wow, I never knew I could do that. And it's because, like, I, like, someone else was like, and so it's so funny because I really was like, oh my gosh, I've gotten so not soft, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I need, so yeah, I definitely, next time we're bumping it all the way. Oh,
yeah. So, I mean, obviously now by you having had a couple sessions with me already, you see that I can physically handle it. I just need
yes,
to
and mentally
I need to
too.
yeah, I need to just keep up my nutrition so my body doesn't gas out on me.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you can push me. Like I said, the parameters we're doing, it's pretty simple. We're doing 5 5-minute rounds, and then I also told you how it's alternating. Like
Mhm.
round
The
one,
1-3-5
3, and 5 are going to be intense, just like each minute
minute.
in
Mhm.
each round. Minute 1, 3, and 5 are the more intense ones, while rounds 2 and
Mhm.
4 and minute 2 and 4 in each one of those are a little bit more subdued. But we'll go over that
Mhm.
some more. But yeah, I mean, I can handle it physically as long as I'm uh, like I gotta just I can't do this stupid stuff with this carb cutting, and then
You gotta
of
eat.
course mentally I just want to go there. So yeah, don't take it easy. So we just got
Sweet.
about
Thank
three
you.
minutes left here, Katie, and I appreciate that we finally got to get on here together, and I think that you're a great fit. You're an awesome trainer. I appreciate everything you do. Is there anything else you want to say to me, Mastermind? Let me know before we head out.
Well, I would also too just like to send back. I really appreciate the time that we spent together. Your, like, how willing you are, not just me, but other people around you, to uplift other people in regards of just either a unapologetically doing your own thing, and then but having those good morals and those good values of what you're doing. And so it's just radiant, and almost like comes off like ripple waves of just the positivity that comes. So I really appreciate the, like, cause I've ever since, like, we started meeting with each other and doing our sessions and such, or even the first time that I met you, when you and Josh were like training with, like, or practicing with the nunchucks, like, I always just felt so inspired and encouraged. So yeah, I really appreciate too, like, I don't know, just our conversations, the time, like, I don't know, because I often too, I don't know if you ever feel this way, but there's so often where I engage with a lot of people, I work with a lot of people, and I love serving people, but it's not often that I find where I connect with people in a sense, if that makes sense.
No,
So
I
I
totally
really,
get it.
yeah, and I definitely appreciate the way that you think, the way that you move, like your how you think and go about life. Like, yeah, it's just been an all around, just, I feel like so much, like, and then on the top of that, I get to work with you now. Like, thank you so much for this opportunity, and to be able also too to, like, I don't know, expand my mind. Like, when you said to me, stop giving away your time, I'm like, that's exactly what I know I need to work on. So thank you for calling me out for that, like keeping me accountable
Hey,
too.
look, it took me a long time to get here, and I'm even just getting into a place where I'm even emotionally stable enough to even be able to focus as much and speak and just be as clear as I am now, because even relatively recently, I've
Hmm.
always known what the right tools were, but I wasn't able to always practice them. So I think that
Hmm.
everything happens for a reason, and the timing is right.
Hmm.
So I think we're just gonna have some awesome stuff going. So yeah, let's just rock it.
Yes. Oh, look forward to the future. Oh my goodness. Each and every step
All
is
right.
just going to be But yeah, I would say our
It,
time's winding down. So thank you so much for this talk today, and thank you for everybody also who sat and listened with us.
well, thank you, Katie, and you have a good night, and we'll connect soon. And
You
I just
also
want
have
to
a ball.
give a shout out. Yeah, take care. I'm going to give a shout out to everybody who either bounced through or sat a spell with us. You've just been listening to my fitness trainer and coach, Katie Wyckoff, or Kathryn Wyckoff, as you see here. And we've just been masterminding a little bit. She's been my trainer now here for a couple weeks, in an old stomping ground of mine that I've been at, Onelife Fitness in Virginia Beach. So hello, Letitia Bowen. Thanks for hanging around. Wandering Fool, long time. Barbara Fontana, Lisa Miller, Deanna Mann, Davina, Dan Ferber, Donna, Peace 101. Hey, R. Raw. That's actually a cool name. I like Raw. Cecilia Grace, I know she popped through, but she went to have her own room. George Russell, Ann Bailey, Andrea Unruh, Adams, Jennifer Bailey, Amanda Ayers, is it Ayers or Ayers? Mary Jacobs, Tova, hey Tova, Katie Beach, Kenan Pierre, Ronald Snyder, Jessica Torres, Janelle, aka Dr. Lovespell. Hey Yanni, how you doing? Jaden Pinkert, CPO Tracy, Noble Ron in the house. What's up, Noble Ron? Dahiana M Undefined, Artem P, Kenneth Manning, Nia Chance. Hello, Nia. Gage, Kalingasan, Doobie. Hey, Doobie Brothers here. Matthew Conley, Elsie Wood, and deleted user. Also, if you're still listening in the room, Katie, I want to send you. We got to connect an invitation. I need some. Uh, there's this thing called Step Fam, and I need to start carrying my devices with me more. I don't carry them with me, but they count your steps, and there's a Step Fam thing where if we sign up to be each other's Step Fam, we'll get bonus vibes here on Noom, and we'll also get to help keep each other accountable, even if we're not training in the gym with each other, to be able to keep each other accountable for our steps and movement. So, yep, I see she's texting me the links, and yes, she says, yeah, yes, Roger that on the Step Fam. Yeah, so I think the Noom Vibe app is just really incredible for that. So, as you guys heard, that's my awesome trainer, Katie Wyckoff, here at the One Life Fitness on General Booth Boulevard in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I'm gonna have to build back up again because our next session is not until for like 2 weeks. So on the 13th of August, because she's got some personal issues she needs to attend to go out of town. Um, and then we're gonna get back in it, but we'll be keeping in touch, and we'll definitely be coming back online here on Noom Vibe to have some more talks. Obviously I did right. We're a good match to be working with each other. We've got a lot of really great things in common, especially with the yoga and the fitness and just personal growth. And um, it's good. I'm probably getting a little bit better at reading people as time goes on. So I appreciate you all sitting here with us for a spell, and we'll be back soon, and I'll be on here more often. And I'm going to go check in and see. Hopefully, Cecilia Grace is still online here, and I'm going to check into her room and do some kudos. But if not, all is well. Until next time, everyone, stay well.